early one morning, right in front of a grand mansion. In a wealthy, predominantly white neighborhood, a black man wearing a garbage collector's uniform stood there, looking uneasy. His name was Ethan, 32 years old. His mere presence quickly caught the attention of the residents. Whispers spread among them. "What's that black trash doing here? He's definitely up to something shady. Someone call the cops." Ethan had no idea that this seemingly calm morning was about to take a shocking turn. From one of the mansions, a little white girl, no more than 10, suddenly appeared. Dressed like a princess, golden curls bouncing as she walked, she made her way straight toward him. Her small hand reached out, grasping his. "I know what you're looking for," she said softly, yet with a surprising firmness. "Come with me. I'll show you." Ethan hesitated, startled. But something about her unwavering confidence made him follow. She introduced herself as Ruby and mentioned that she lived in the neighborhood. But before they could take more than a few steps, a tall, broad-shouldered white man, late 40s, stormed out of the house, his voice like thunder. "Let go of my daughter. What are you doing to her?" Ethan immediately let go of Ruby's hand, raising his own in defense. "No, it's not what you think. I was just..." Before he could even finish, the man, David, had already called the cops. Panic surged through Ethan. Officers stationed nearby would be here any second. But before things could spiral out of control, Ruby suddenly shouted, her voice shaking but fierce.
"No.
Don't arrest Ethan. I was just showing him my little hut in the backyard." Ethan quickly added, "It's all just a misunderstanding. I didn't mean any harm." The police hesitated, taking in the scene. Ruby stood protectively in front of Ethan, her small frame unwavering. David, however, was far from convinced. He grabbed Ruby, muttering angrily under his breath as he pulled her inside. As the door slammed shut, Ruby glanced back at Ethan, her eyes filled with something unusual, regret and determination. Ethan sighed, turning to leave. But then his fingers brushed against something in his pocket. A folded piece of paper. Heart pounding, he unfolded it and read the message. "If you're looking for your wife, contact me." At the bottom, instructions for entering the mansion. Ethan's breath hitched. What? He had been searching for his wife. Eliana, 30 years old, the love of his life. His childhood sweetheart. Despite their modest lives, their love had been unshakable. Ethan worked as a garbage collector. Eliana was a housekeeper, taking jobs in the homes of the wealthy. Just a week ago, she had accepted a new housekeeping position in this very neighborhood. The employer insisted on absolute privacy. Ethan never knew which house she worked in. And then she vanished. No calls. No texts. No trace. Ethan searched tirelessly, asking around, reporting her disappearance to the police. But the authorities barely cared. Just another missing black woman. With no other choice, he wandered through the neighborhood daily, hoping, praying, to catch even a glimpse of Eliana or find something that could lead him to her. Days passed. Hope faded. But then, Ruby's note. A lifeline in his darkest moment. That evening, clutching the paper, Ethan followed the instructions carefully. Step by step, he moved through the grand estate. David's mansion was massive.
Silent.
Cautiously, Ethan made his way toward the dining room. The sight before him made his breath hitch. A long, luxurious table set with elegant dishes. Crimson roses. Flickering candlelight. Confusion crashed over him.
What?
Was this the right place? Was this some kind of trap? Doubt clawed at him. Maybe he should turn back. Then, breaking the silence.
"Ethan.
You made it." His heart pounded. Frozen in place, he turned toward the voice. And there, standing before him, was Ruby. But something about her seemed different. Ruby stood before him, yet something about her seemed different. She no longer had the same youthful innocence as she had that morning. Maybe it was the makeup or the elegant dress that draped over her small frame. Her long golden hair, loosely styled, framed her delicate features, adding a softness that felt almost unnatural for a 10-year-old. Her bright eyes locked onto Ethan's, sparkling with an intensity that sent a chill down his spine. "What do you think of me?" she asked. Ethan, still stunned, hesitated but finally responded, You look beautiful." But before he could say anything else, Ruby cut him off, her voice turning firm. "Don't say, but. I'm not a child." Ethan's brows furrowed in confusion. Then, with a steady gaze, Ruby stated something that made his blood run cold. "I'm actually 38 years old." Ethan blinked, his mind struggling to process her words. Ruby continued, her voice unwavering. "I have a rare condition, something called reverse aging." She walked over to the grand dining table, picked up a stack of documents, and handed them to him. Ethan hesitated, but as his eyes scanned the pages, his breath caught in his throat. What he was reading was impossible. The Ruby standing before him, who appeared no older than 10, was, in reality, 38 years old. She had been born looking like an old woman, wrinkled and frail. But as the years passed, her body regressed. Instead of aging forward, she grew younger. Ethan stood frozen, trying to wrap his head around this surreal revelation. But Ruby didn't let him linger in silence. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I'm David's wife, not his daughter." Ethan's stomach twisted. "David's a brilliant scientist. We got married when I looked about 18. He's been working day and night to find a cure for my condition. He's close now. But the truth is, I don't love him. I'm just using him to fix me." Her voice softened, almost dreamlike. "Once I'm cured, we can run away together. Ethan, you and me. We can live, really live. I've liked you for a long time." Ethan felt his entire body tense. "What?"
No.
You look like a child. And I'm married." Ruby's expression darkened. A flicker of rage crossed her delicate face. "I told you. I won't look like this forever. My condition is temporary. How dare you look down on me?" Ethan's hands clenched. His mind raced. Then an idea struck him. Keeping his voice steady, he asked, "How exactly will you be cured?" Ruby's lips curled into a slow, eerie smile. "The black maids who come here? They're not just housekeepers. They're test subjects for David's treatments. Their youth, their vitality, it's incredibly useful." Ethan's blood ran cold. His breath hitched. "Wait," his voice was barely a whisper. Has my wife been taken for experiments too?" Ruby shrugged, completely unfazed.
Yes.
"But don't worry. I'll replace her soon." She stepped closer, her fingers grazing Ethan's arm. "Then I can be your wife." Ethan felt like the floor beneath him had vanished. For a moment, he was utterly speechless. His chest burned with anger, fear, and something far worse, helplessness. But he had to stay calm. Fighting to suppress his emotions, he swallowed hard and forced a composed tone. "Actually, I don't love Eliana anymore." Ruby's eyes widened slightly. "After all these years, I've grown bored of her. I think I need someone more interesting." He exhaled, glancing toward the mansion's grand halls. "But before I leave with you, I want to see Eliana. Just one last time." For a second, Ruby studied his face. Then, just like that, her fury melted away. Her entire demeanor shifted. A beaming smile spread across her lips. "Really? Oh, Ethan." She clapped her hands. "Of course. I knew you'd understand." Just moments ago, she was enraged. And now, she was glowing with joy, giggling like a love-struck teenager. Her emotions flipped like a switch. "I've dreamed of running away with you, you know," she chirped, "just the two of us. No one to stop us." Ethan forced a nod, pretending to entertain her fantasies while his mind calculated his next move. Step by step, Ruby led him through the mansion's dimly lit halls, whispering about all the places she wanted to visit with him. "Imagine it, Ethan. Romantic walks by the sea. Beautiful hidden towns where no one knows us. Just you and me." Ethan barely responded. His thoughts were consumed by only one thing: saving Eliana. Then, finally, they arrived. Ruby reached for the door, humming softly. She pushed it open. Ethan's pulse pounded in his ears. And what he saw inside made his breath catch. Ethan stood frozen, his breath caught in his throat. Before him lay a horrifying scene, several black women strapped to cold metal beds, unconscious, their bodies frail and lifeless. Among them was Eliana. Unlike the others, whose skin was pale, wrinkled, and sagging from the brutal experiments, Eliana still looked like herself for now. Ruby casually gestured toward her, completely indifferent. "That's your wife, isn't it?" she mused, tilting her head. "If you have anything to say to her, do it quickly. She won't be conscious much longer. Soon, she'll be just as ugly and shriveled as the rest." Then, with a smirk, she added, "But don't worry, Ethan. Your new wife, me, will be far more beautiful than her." Ethan clenched his fists. He forced a strained smile. "Wait a minute, let me talk to her alone." Ruby sighed, turning away with an impatient flick of her golden curls.
Fine.
"Just don't take too long." She didn't notice the burning rage in Ethan's eyes. The moment her guard dropped, Ethan struck. A swift, precise blow to the back of her head. Ruby's body crumpled to the floor, unconscious. Wasting no time, Ethan grabbed his phone. 911 call. Within moments, the sound of sirens filled the air. The lab doors burst open as police officers stormed in, guns raised. David and Ruby were seized on the spot. By then, Ruby had regained consciousness, but her reaction was far from remorseful. She thrashed, shrieking in protest. "I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted to live like a normal person." But the truth was undeniable. The normal life she so desperately craved had come at the cost of innocent lives. And that was something the law would never forgive. David's sinister lab was dismantled. The women, his test subjects, were rescued in time and received the care they needed to recover. As news of the case spread, the trial of David and Ruby captured nationwide attention. The crimes were too bizarre, too monstrous to ignore. Ethan and Eliana attended the hearings together, their hands tightly intertwined. David faced the full weight of the law, convicted on multiple charges. As for Ruby, her fate was sealed with a life sentence. However, further examinations revealed something chilling. She was diagnosed with a severe mental disorder. Rather than prison, she was committed to a psychiatric facility where she would remain for the rest of her days. And just like that, it was over. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Ethan and Eliana walked home side by side. Hand in hand, they stopped for a moment, standing beneath the golden glow of the setting sun. Then, without words, they embraced. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was peace. Because no matter the darkness they had faced, love, family, these were the lights that would always guide them home.